Good morning and happy new year. Happy 2026 to everyone out there, and happy 2026 to my co host, Missy. Hello, Missy.
Hi, Rachel. Happy New Year and Happy New Year, our listeners and friends out there. Thanks for joining us today.
Yes, so we are at episode 31 of a Disney Life podcast today, our first one of 2026, and we have some exciting things for you today. We are going to be taking a look at what is coming to all of the parks at Walt Disney World in 2026, what you can expect if your family is visiting there or if your family is considering visiting there. We are also going to throw in some exciting things coming to Disneyland and Disney Cruise Line in 2026 as well. And we're going to be ending the episode with giving you a preview of our own personal upcoming travels for 2026 and things that I am sure that we will share with you in future episodes too. Again, my name is Rachel and I'm joined here by Missy. And we are excited to look into what's coming up this year at Walt Disney World.
Alrighty then, friends, let's just get right into things here, starting with the most iconic park at Disney World, which is the Magic Kingdom. We do have a few updates coming to the Magic Kingdom for 2026. If we were making some type of top 10 list or one of our top fives, there's one thing that I know would certainly be my number one at the top or bottom of the list, I guess, whichever way you look at it. But I'm going to lead off with it today because it's what I'm the most excited about. And that is the new paint and facelift that we are going to be seeing at Cinderella Castle at the Magic Kingdom. So, Rachel, I have some strong feelings on
Oh,
this.
I have very
So, why
strong
don't, all
feelings,
right,
yes.
you go first.
I was not an iridescent fan. It looked a lot better in person than what I feared, but there is something about the iconic blues and the kind of grays and off-whites at Cinderella's castle that the iridescent just took away. I
So
cannot
I think
wait.
the one word that you just said really stuck out to me, which was feared, because, we all were afraid of what was going to happen a few years back when they were painting that castle. And we all had to watch from afar because they did the last castle painting during COVID when the parks were shut down in 2020. And not a time we like to talk about often on the show, but we were all apprehensive at home, wondering what they were going to do to it. I feel like they did it for the gram. They thought it was going to be more
Mhm.
picturesque, and I could not disagree more. I
Yes.
don't think it was an improvement at all, and I was absolutely thrilled when I heard that we were going to be returning to that more classic look of the blues and grays and creams and golds that really is the iconic Cinderella castle that we all grew up with. So
Yeah, and you mentioned the gram. If you have ever been to Walt Disney World or known about social media, and you don't hear about them as much anymore, but you had the purple wall, you had the bubblegum wall, you had all these places that people would go and take their pictures in front of, and the purple wall was supposed to be super flattering. So maybe they were thinking, this will show up really well in photos, but it just was different seeing this pinkish, shimmering
Mhm.
castle. And if you've gone for a long time, it's just not the same. And I know that there are people who do like it better. Sorry, but we're getting our original castle back and we can't wait.
Am also curious what brought this on because I think we had all just really accepted it. I never really considered the fact that they may change it, and certainly not after only 5 years. So it makes me wonder, was this feedback from their guests? Or was there something else going on?
Yeah.
Why is the color change happening so quickly? But I'm absolutely thrilled with it. I will take it regardless of the reason. Now, one thing that we did see back in 2020, they were able to do it when the parks weren't open, so they worked round the clock. So this time, we do expect it to take a little bit longer. They have said that they're going to attempt to have the least guest disruption with it as they possibly can. So there shouldn't be cranes up all day every day. I think they'll be working off hours during the evening when possible, certainly sometimes during the day, but this isn't going to be like what we all experienced with the giant crane and the Castle Dreamlights, which I will
Yes.
say was well worth it. I
It was.
would take
Yes.
August to November, in January and February with the crane, if I could have those Castle Dream Lights in November and December, because they were
Mhm.
truly an outstanding sight to see. No photos could ever do those justice.
I wholeheartedly agree. And now with technology on phones, it's so easy that you could crop that crane right out if you wanted to. for your
It's
photos, but I agree when the castle was painted, I don't recall at all that Walt Disney World ever mentioned that it would go back to its original color, so I was quite worried about it, and when they announced that it was, I know it made a lot of fans happy, this one included, so I wondering it probably was quite a bit of negative guest feedback is my only guess, unless maybe the paint was just not holding up to what they were hoping to as well, and if they needed to repaint it, why not make it to where guest
better.
satisfaction is
Make
there
it the
too.
correct way, yes.
Yes,
If
yeah,
if
absolutely.
if it was chipping or something and needed to be corrected, just do it the appropriate way.
Yeah.
So it could be as simple as that, but whatever the reason, I'm thrilled with it. So the Cinderella Castle updates, first and foremost, most important thing happening to me in 2026 at the Disney parks. But we do have a whole list of other things to chat through today, and there are a couple more things just inside the Magic Kingdom. Now, if you did not get the opportunity to visit Disney World in 2025, you may not be aware that Big Thunder Mountain Railroad was closed for most of the year. I think it
Yeah.
went down in January of 2025. It has been closed since. They've told us that they will be reopening Big Thunder Mountain Railroad at the Magic Kingdom this spring of 2026. I've heard there will be a new track and a couple different scenes and experiences, some other updates on the ride as well. So that's something exciting also.
Yeah, that is exciting, and I also wonder once it opens if they are doing this to keep Villains Land and the news cars area hidden from guest view or if you will be able to see some of this and maybe it's taken such a long time because they were trying to get some of those areas built up to where the theming will still be good and visible if you're on Big Thunder Mountain because you do have a good view. You should have a good view of what all that area will be eventually from that attraction. But yeah, it has been down for a really long time. It would typically go down sometime, usually in the winter for a refurbishment, anyways. But this is a lengthy one, over a year long that this one will be down. So
So
I am
I'm
excited.
curious. I'm curious to experience it. I'm excited to experience it because it's one of those rides that I would have to judge based on how I feel that day. When I was younger, certainly throw me on any roller coaster, but now, oh, it's so rickety and my old back, can I really handle that today? That's who I am now. I accept it. Love me or hate me, it's what you're going to get if you're at a park with me. But so I never know, right? Until it's time to get in line if I'm feeling up to it that day. So I'm wondering if a new track system can maybe make it a little smoother. And I'm wondering how others will feel about it because, there are people like me who might want it less rickety, but I certainly know people who absolutely love it for the shaky wild ride that it is.
Yeah.
So time will tell
Yeah.
once we give it a try.
And they have updated the seats over the years. They added some cushioning and padding to it, especially on the sides, because if you've been on that ride, once you make those turns, you are scooting to one side of that car or the other. So they have done some things. I know that this ride is notorious for supposedly being the ride that if you have a kidney stone, just go on Big Thunder Mountain and you may have it.
Seriously? I never
Yes.
heard that. I
Yes.
never heard that.
Yes.
Okay, good to know. I'll file that away with my medical needs. Shall I ever
Right,
need
but
it?
it's a really fun ride, and also parents, if, your kids are new to roller coasters, this is one of the better ones to get them on too because the hills and the drops, as of before the refurbishment, were not super drastic. It's more of a you kind of coast down while turning, making big turns. Now what the new track will look like, who knows, but it is really good intro roller coaster for your children too.
So hopping from one side of the park to the other, we were in Frontierland with Big Thunder Mountain, but over in Tomorrowland, we're going to get an update that I feel we've needed. If I had to put a timestamp on it, I would say 2008-ish when they opened Toy Story Midway Mania over at Hollywood Studios. At that point, to me, Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin started to feel outdated because the experience over in Hollywood Studios is far superior to the technology that we had. So I'm thrilled that we're getting an update to Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. I believe we'll be getting new blasters. There'll be new
Mhm.
monitors in the car with real time scoring for you and some other different interactive things going on in that ride. So, again, something that I think was really needed and that I think guests will really be excited about it. I feel more often than not, I've gotten Astro Blasters in recent years that either don't seem to be working or maybe are only partially working. I don't know how your experience has been, Rachel, but for me, that ride definitely needs an update
Yes, and if you've been on the one at Disneyland, they've already had the handheld blasters. I
for
don't
a
know if from the
while.
beginning, but for a long time, yes. And this also is a huge game changer because now you don't have to fight over who controls the vehicle. So that is a very strategic move, who gets to control, but if they were handheld blasters and you do have some room to move those, it should make everything better. There will also be interactive targets too, which some of the targets were interactive already. So I'm curious to see what they are going to do with these, but I
Mhm.
do hope that they also keep kind of the classic feel of it's not a screened attraction. There is one part where you go through the tunnel and there are screens, and if you didn't know, keep blasting away because you can earn some points in there. But other than that, I hope it stays actual physical pieces that will be there throughout
Oh,
the trip.
yeah, hopefully, it's not just all I don't think it's gonna be all screens,
Yeah,
so
I don't think so either. They haven't mentioned anything like that, but I do hope when it says interactive targets, it kinda that's the first thing that comes to my mind, like, "Oh, how
yeah.
what does this mean?"
It might kinda be a mix up of
Yeah.
blending both options for us, and I do think it's brand new ride vehicles also, right? We're not going to be in the
Oh,
same
I don't know.
I heard
It looks
that,
like
so
updated
I
ride
think that's where
vehicles,
Disney's
so
updating. Yeah.
nice.
So so that's exciting, and again, that's spring of 2026 coming for us, so we don't know exact dates yet as of right now, but in spring 2026, we'll have Big Thunder and Buzz Lightyear open
Mhm.
again in the Magic Kingdom with some updates. So is there anything else you're aware of in Magic Kingdom, Rachel? That's all I had noted on my list of things I was looking forward to there.
That's all I have too, which it seems like that's an awfully short list compared to what some of the other parks are getting. However, we are getting entirely new lands for the Magic Kingdom, so a lot of money is being poured into there into other parts of the park that will be open to guests,
In future
who knows,
years
in the future.
at some point. Probably not now. All right, so over at EPCOT, we'll be starting out the new year with the way it has started out the last many years, and that's with the Festival of the Arts, which I absolutely love. I kind of think maybe every festival we talk about, I say it's my favorite. For real now. Festival of the Arts and Festival of the Holidays are definitely my top two favorites. I'm excited to see what's coming for that and to get down there and experience it. Rachel and I both have trips. We'll chat about
Mhm.
those a little later in this episode, but we'll both be experiencing Festival of the Arts. So that's exciting. Something else exciting there are the updates to Frozen Ever After. Did you see about that, Rachel?
I
Thank goodness
did.
again.
Yes, so brand new audio animatronics for Anna, Elsa, and Kristoff, that these are supposed to be advanced like the ones at the World of Frozen in Hong Kong Disneyland, which obviously I have not seen in person, but I appreciate that Walt Disney World is trying the ride. Let me back up a little bit. I miss Maelstrom so much. However,
Yes,
Frozen Ever
we
After
all
is a
do.
yes,
We all
it's a
do.
cute
We
attraction. It is
are
a cute
always
attraction.
our respects to Maelstrom. Yes, absolutely.
So Frozen Ever After is a really cute attraction, especially if you have Frozen fans in the family. And I thought the animatronics when it first opened, I thought those were great. Those were very innovative for the time. But to see that they can just change those out pretty quickly, and I don't think that it has a very long planned refurbishment going on either. I think it's pretty short, kind of like the one for Remy's Ratatouille adventure was. But the fact that they
Yeah,
can
so
just
I
change
think
these
it's
out quickly.
January 6th. I think they had said January 26th until sometime in February. We don't have an
Yeah.
official reopening yet. At least we didn't last I knew. That was something I was keeping an eye on because we do have a February trip. I do love the ride, but those projected faces were definitely a little off, a little creepy at times. So I think this is a very welcome refurbishment with some new
Yeah.
animatronic work in there. So I'm excited for it.
If one gets frozen, you are in trouble. We also had recently announced the flower and garden dates were announced too. Those are beginning March 4th, going through June 1st of 2026. So this is one of the longer festivals, this and the Food and Wine Festival, which will also be happening in the fall. But these are two of the longer festivals there. Festival of the Arts is pretty short, just over a month.
There
As is yeah, Festival of the Holidays, these are both very short. We mentioned in a recent episode that we would like to see Festival of the Holidays be longer, maybe
huh?
start before Thanksgiving, but we don't have the dates that far out yet for this year. But Flower and Garden Festival for sure is coming back March 4th through June 1st of 2026. And more details will be coming about that, and we'll do a future episode on that too.
Oh, absolutely, yes. So, if you haven't seen in the news, Disney is doing a big Disney Celebrates America for the 250th anniversary or birthday. What's the appropriate term there? I know it's 200. I'd call it birthday, but it may
Yeah,
be
let's call it a
anniversary of the
birthday.
founding of the country. But I'm going with birthday. So for America's 250th birthday, Disney is doing a celebration, and we will see a big event for that over in EPCOT, which is at Soarin'. So rather than Soarin' over California, which we started with, and then Soarin' around the world, we will now be Soarin' across America. This is something that we'll also see updated out at Disneyland also and in California. I think theirs opens a little after, I call it ours as if like, so
Yeah,
I'm on this coast, I'm on the East Coast. So it's like an ours and
yeah.
theirs type
It
thing.
is our park.
They share well with us, and I do plan on getting there to see this also. Theirs isn't coming till 4th of July week, but here in Orlando, I think it's Memorial Day weekend. It's
Yes,
supposed to be open by an
yeah, it'll be opening by Memorial Day of 2026. I believe was announced it'll be that weekend and not
yeah,
actually on Memorial Day, but yes, it will be
right.
open by that point in time, and I believe Disneyland is July 2nd, just before the 4th. So, Walt
Sounds
Disney
right.
World, the Disney Travel Company, and smartly chose 2 big important holidays for the United States of America, obviously Memorial Day, remembering all of those who sacrificed for the freedom of this nation, and then the 4th of July, where we get to celebrate our independence. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that so much. I've loved Soarin' in all of its forms. I do miss Soarin' over California. I think that was a superior version. But hearing about this change, and it's, as far as I know, a temporary change, it was very exciting
Mhm.
news to hear that they are really just putting out all the stops to celebrate the 250th birthday of the United States.
Right. I absolutely agree. I love that they're doing this. I don't think we've seen an end date for it yet. So we don't know for sure how long they'll be running Soarin' across America. But I would hope if it's not starting till July, we'll at least see it through the end of the year,
Yeah.
to close out the year. So we'll keep you updated on that if we do hear any official dates to be switching back to the more current version for that rather than the new
Whatever
one.
version. I
Whatever.
I I
I
also would
almost called it original,
advocate.
but it wasn't original. So I don't know what
No,
to
it
call it.
wasn't.
The
And I
world.
know so many Disney executives listen to this podcast, so I would like to propose with 3 theaters running 3 shows,
Oh
but
my
I know
word.
that's probably impossible.
Can you imagine the chaos and the lines? I mean, you have people there who have not prepared for their vacations. They clearly don't listen to this podcast
Yeah.
or work with a travel professional to help them plan ahead of time because you get people there who are quite lost. So I can imagine if you got to the spot where you divided up to each concourse and you had to choose a version of it, that would be, I would go, I'm here for it. I would do it. But that would be insanity, I think, for the cast members.
I would be
I would
curious
not want to be there.
which one would have the longer line consistently, and based on
Mhm.
the 2 current ones, I guaranteed California would at this point, but who knows with all
That's
3, so
interesting.
I know.
Neat concept. Maybe they'll give that to us someday.
They
We could put
should.
that on some sort of a wish list for you. Okay. I think that's all I had for upcoming at Epcot. Did you have anything else on
Well,
your list?
they did announce Cool Kids Summer is coming back for Epcot. Goofy Core, the dance area that they had there where kids
Mhm.
can play games and hang out with characters, and that was, I did not go in when that actually was going on. I did see this space, and I thought Disney World did an excellent job with just changing out that area there over at Communicore. But we do know Cool Kids Summer is coming back sometime this month. This will air in early January, and who knows if it's come out so far yet, but they have announced that in January there'll be new family friendly offers for summer vacations coming back, and they'll probably announce some more things coming back with Cool Kids Summer at that point too. But
Mhm.
that's all we've got for Epcot as well.
Right. And Cool Kids Summer is not exclusive only for Epcot. There's Cool Kids Summer
Yes.
stuff in all the parks, and we do anticipate that returning resort wide there for this summer. So yes. That's like kind of an item of its own that Cool Kids Summer will be returning to Disney
Yeah.
World this summer, which is hilarious because it seemed like the silliest thing to me. But apparently people love it and we're there for it. And I mean, we had fun when we were down there, even though we didn't have little kiddos. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yay!
I got to color with Clarabelle. I mean, who doesn't want to do that?
But also still Universal did open that brand new park, Epic Universe. But hey, Cool Kids Summer.
Yeah. Now they
It's for
need,
everybody who always longed to be a cool kid, but didn't
yes,
quite
they
make
also
it there.
need cool kids adults booths too at Epcot because it
Right.
is really weird being there without a festival in the summer.
Alrighty. Well, if that's it for Epcot, let's hop on over to the studios. I don't know about you, but to me, the appropriate order to discuss these theme parks is in the order of opening.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Like, that's just It's just the order. It naturally transpires in my brain. I noticed it earlier today when I was actually looking for pricing something for Disney Cruise Line and saw the drop down window of all of the ships and thought to myself, wow, to me, this is just naturally the way it goes. Like, magic, wonder, dream, fantasy, etc. But I wonder if a newer to the cruise line type guest would look at that and think like, "What is this weird order?" Because they're
Yeah.
not alphabetical order. The other cruise lines, like, seem to run in alphabetical order when they're listing their ships, but not Disney.
Yeah.
Or
Well, and
order
too, when you
number.
look at the app on the park hours, isn't it by chronological order too of opening?
You're right. It
Yeah.
is, yeah,
So, it's just
very good.
natural.
It is the correct way, so it is the way we will continue.
Yes.
And I'll start out with what I think is the biggest change coming to the park. Well, there are a couple big changes,
Yeah.
but we've talked about it here before. Rock and Roller Coaster is inevitably changing very, very soon. I believe March 1st is the last day to ride it as Rock and Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith. And then it will be closing down for a few months and reopening in the summer of 2026 to be starring the Muppets. So we've already seen the pre-show area is closed down. We are just assuming they're actively working in there. I'm sure they are. We have heard that we're going to have a mix of animatronic and screen-based media there for that pre-show. So we'll have some different Muppet characters in there. So that'll be neat to see. And I guess it's yet to be determined what all will experience as far as the ride itself. I'm sure the track's going to remain the same. You're going to
Mm.
have the same inversions. The cars I would imagine are going to be the same. This is really just, the theming and decor of the ride
Yeah,
itself.
yeah, and especially with such a short turnover. I do hope the seats will get a little bit of love. They are getting a little bit rough to sit in and that
Hmm,
I at least that I noticed last
I
time.
hadn't even
So,
noticed,
yeah,
honestly.
but I really hope I know that the Disney Imagineers like to give nods to former attractions a lot of times, so I hope that
Uh-huh.
there's a Muppets-based Aerosmith poster somewhere when you're walking
That
through
would
the
be
queue.
cute.
That yeah, I would enjoy seeing that, so I will miss Aerosmith, grew up listening to Aerosmith. I have been to a concert of Aerosmith before in my life, but I understand when it was rumored that it was changing and all of the things that it could have been changed to. I am actually glad that they chose the Muppets based
It
on
could have
things.
been worse. It
It could have been much
absolutely
worse.
could have been
Yes,
worse.
yes.
Yes. So, this will be a fun change to see. Not really something I can say I'm looking forward to, but
Mhm.
you gotta have some love for the Muppets, and now that they're not in the back of the park anymore, I'm happy they'll be represented somewhere at least. So that change will be coming in 2026. Millennium Falcon, I know, Rachel, I think you're a little bit
Mm.
more of a Star Wars fan than I am. I'm not a fan, but, uh I mean, first of all, I can't even ride Millennium Falcon. I don't know if this update will be any less nauseating for me, but I've tried it a few times and there's no way. People do not want to ride with me, especially if I'm the pilot, because I can barely even look at the screen and I will crash them and it will not be a fun ride. So,
Yeah, yeah, so I enjoy this attraction surely for just the laugh factor of it because it is very stressful being the pilot, but it's also really funny if you're not the pilot. Last time we let my 9-year-old and 6-year-old be the pilots and, dad and I were holding on for dear life. But yeah, so this is a new adventure, starting on May 22nd, so they're adding a lot in coming into the end of spring, beginning of summer, but this will be centered around the Mandalorian and Grogu. Baby Yoda, as he is often known on the internet, but his official name is Grogu. And so a brand new adventure starring with a new storyline with them. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm gonna be honest, I have not watched the last few seasons of The Mandalorian, did watch the first couple, and it was very entertaining, but I have seen The Mandalorian and Grogu walking around Hollywood studios, interacting with guests. That was neat to experience too. But I don't really like the whole, and I get it, smugglers run your smuggling things. I don't really like the whole, hey, take this ship out and go, capture all this stuff. I think the storyline is already a little dated. So I'm glad to see something new coming to it already.
and that is I guess I can see it. The good side of all of the screens in parks that we see now is that it does seem to be much easier to update rides with different things on their screens than when you're dealing with rides that are animatronics and major things to switch out. So I appreciate updated shows every now and then, and this should be a
Yeah.
fun one. So we'll see how
Yeah.
that goes. The other major, major thing happening in this park is the whole animation courtyard. area. We're going to be seeing a lot of changes there. It's already started. The arch has been removed. And it seems we're getting a sorcerer hat returning. Now, I don't believe this is the same sorcerer giant hat that used
Yeah,
to
I
be
don't know how they could
prominently
fit that in that
displayed
area.
in front of the Chinese theater. That was removed a few years back, but we will have that nod to the sorcerer's hat. It's something on that opening of that area of the park. There's going to be some type of sorcerer hat there. We're going to be getting the Disney Junior Mickey Mouse Clubhouse live show that opened out in California this past year in 2025. I'm excited for that. No more dance party there, but it will be a live on stage show, which is
Yes,
no more DJ dance party, I guess. Like
right.
the most recent version of this show has been not great. So I'm excited to see that it's getting back to something with these characters. What are your thoughts on that, Rachel? Because I
Yeah,
know
I
you have
am
more recent
too.
experience.
I'm getting with it now, my youngest being 3, we're kinda getting at the tail end of, Disney Junior is not something that we're gonna be visiting probably in another 3 or 4 years, so I'm glad to see that it's changing while we still have a chance to, mostly because as my oldest 2 were getting in, Vampirina wasn't really something we watched. What else was on there? Timon is on there, which comes obviously from a classic, but they had, the Lion Guard show, if you remember that. They had a Lion Guard show with Timon and Pumbaa, but that's you can't even find that unless you're on Disney Plus. So that was not coming on Disney Junior when my kids were growing up. So this will be a lot better with more familiar characters. And they do, but yes, there will be dancing. My kids love to dance, so I'm excited to see them get up, and I enjoyed watching the other 2 just be so excited to see Mickey Mouse come out on stage with music going, and now we've got Goofy, Daisy, Pluto, which is Meredith's favorite, so she will, I'm sure, get on her hands and knees and bark along with Pluto, but yeah, so I am glad to see that this change came when it's still something that as a family we will enjoy going to together.
Be forcing my daughters to go, whether they like
Okay,
it or not,
well, I mean,
and
that's
I'm
totally
pretty
fine.
sure they will like it.
Yeah.
So when we first my kids are of the age my oldest, Gracie, she's 19. So for her first trip, it was when the Playhouse Disney area first closed. So that was back with Bear in the Big Blue House, which I was super sad about at the time because she was still watching those shows at home. We had some old VHS tapes she'd watch, but they were not the current thing on TV. And we happened to be there right at the time that they were opening I think it was when it updated to Disney Junior live on stage. So it was Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, Handy
Mhm.
Manny. Gosh, I'm trying to remember who else was there. Roly Poly Oly was part of the Playhouse thing. It wasn't Disney Junior. So anyway, we loved that. Oh, it was Jake and the Neverland Pirates and the gold
Oh,
doubloons
yeah.
would fall down, the gold coin confetti. We absolutely love that. I am certain that we still have some memorabilia boxes in the attic with confetti that fell down and the gold coin confetti that we saved from those shows because my kids both absolutely love that. So that was always a very important part of all of our trips. We'd make sure to be there. The DJ party just wasn't something that really was enough to make us want to get in there for it. So I'm thrilled that they're bringing back this type of show for the kids. And it may even be better than what we experienced because what we saw, it was puppets, which were really neat, but having the real live characters there,
Yeah.
obviously, it seems like the more exciting experience. So this is one of those things that while I'm nostalgic for the way it used to be, I will agree this may be the better option for kiddos these days. So I'm excited to see what that's like. We'll make sure we pop in there at some point in the next year to check that out once it opens. Again, we don't know exactly when. It does say summer 2026. I feel like this will be a big cool kid summer offering. So I would think
Yes.
with that coming, I think that's end of May, sometime in May, Cool Kids Summer should be starting. So if that's the case, hopefully we'll see this around that time also.
Yeah, and, there's also the magic of Disney animation that's coming to that
Yeah.
area of inviting guests into the world of Walt Disney Animation Studios, so this will have several different sections to it. There's going to be a Drawn to Wonderland playground that's
Hmm.
inspired by Mary Blair's original Alice in Wonderland concept art. I think that's exciting. I'm guessing that's gonna be an indoor play type area? I have
I
no
believe it
idea.
is. So I think this whole magic of Disney animation thing is going to be happening inside what was formerly known as the launch bay. So for several years, we had the Star Wars launch bay there. It hung on longer than I thought it would. I thought back in 2019 when Galaxy's Edge first opened, we'd see the closing of the launch bay. It did stick around for a while more, but I'm thrilled that this whole area of the park is getting back to the roots of what the park was started on with the
Yeah.
studios, Walt Disney Studios and the productions that come from it. Yeah, I think that Wonderland Play Area will be inside of that. There's supposed to be a short film in there also, interactive portraits. There'll be character meet and greets. I believe
Mhm.
it was Rapunzel and Moana? Mulan.
Mulan,
Rapunzel
Mulan,
and
yeah.
Mulan will be inside there, which is exciting.
Yes.
I feel like I remember drawing Mushu in there years ago as part of one of the animation classes that they used to run, which was a lot of fun. And I think there's going to be 3 or 4 other characters in there also. I think they'll kind of interchange them. So not officially listed as this one will be here, but we may see some different ones over time depending on the day. So I think it's a great thing because it brings more for younger kiddos to the park.
Mhm.
Not just younger kiddos, big kids will enjoy it also. But when I think of the studios, I think this is the park with the most thrills. You've got Tower, you've got Rock and Roller Coaster, Rise of the Resistance, Slinky Dog, more thrill type rides, is at least as far as Disney goes, they're more of a thrill type ride. So I'm
Yes.
excited though this is something for families with younger kiddos too, and somewhere where maybe you can take your youngest to hang out while someone else takes the big kids on the bigger rides. It just gives you more things to do in the park. So I'm excited
Yes.
for everything in that area. It should be great.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm sure probably the indoor playground will probably have a height or age limit to that
Mhm.
too, depending on just how big it is, because you do have a limited space there, but yeah, these stories, there's gonna be 6 unique departments you walk through to that will have photo opportunities, and I don't know if you remember this because of when you started your trip, so over where Backlot used to be,
Mhm.
there used to be a large store, merchandise store, and they had a lot of photo opportunities set up around it, and I remember as a kid, there was a Roger Rabbit one, and it's kind of they changed the technology over the years where now you would see it at the end of Journey to Imagination where you could have your kinda your face superimposed on, like, a movie
Right.
poster, but it used to be actual kinda, like, set props that they would have set up, and you could take your picture there, so I think this kind of looks back at some of those things too. I remember doing those as a kid and always having so much fun taking photos there in those
Mhm.
kind of backdrops and scenes from different parts, but, so I think this is kinda drawing back into a lot of they seem to be kinda going into a nostalgic place with this because I remember even later in life going with my husband, I think on his very first trip, and we went in and we voiced over some characters on
Oh, that's
some
fun.
they
I
had the
think
thing
I
to
can
do that.
picture it. I think so if you're exiting the back lot tour, I feel like you would come out and there was a building on the left and a building on the right, and there were shops on the right. And I'm picturing a building on the left that was a big open building where the most recent thing I remember having occurring in there was just after Frozen was released. So we're going back to 2014. And they had they had snow in there. They had like a corner of
Oh,
the room where they had actual cold snow that the kids could
yeah.
go play with, and then they had a bunch of different photo ops set up in there. So I'd be willing to bet that the space I'm thinking of is what you're probably going back another 10 years from where I am with your memories, but I bet it's in that same space, which no longer exists because
Yeah.
that whole area, the park was redone. It's so funny how it's changed so much that now what's there seems normal. But when I really sit and think about it, I can picture myself there and the way the park used to be and how much it's changed over the
Yes,
years. It's
yes.
pretty unbelievable how different it was, and I miss that backlot tour. I always thought that was a super cool thing to do. I don't know if it was really that cool or if it was because it was reminiscent to me of my first Disney trip was actually to Disneyland when I was 7 years old, so that was back in 1987, and we visited, like, that whole area out in California, so we did Universal as well, and pretty much all of my memories from that trip were at Universal,
Oh,
and
wow.
that's what was the most impactful to me, the things I remember the most, which is so bizarre at this
Yeah.
point. That reminded me of that, going on the ride. I could remember riding and King Kong coming out and swinging at you like this giant animatronic. And I think there was some water that you went like onto the track on the tram. It was set up to make it seem like you weren't really supposed to be going in. And Jaws was there. And that was really cool. And to me, like this was and I'm sure it was intended to be MGM Studios version of that. So I'm sad
Yeah.
that it's gone, but I'm thrilled that they're bringing back a lot of this animation stuff because part of that backlot tour was seeing some of the animation studios. And I could remember riding by the windows and being able to see Imagineers in there at work. So that is something I miss and that I hope can be there for future generations.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree with that. And as you mentioned, it is the park with the most thrill rides, so this is a great space for parents to go, get out of the sun, get
Sure.
out of the heat, and take your kids through and I think there'll be a lot of fun things happening inside of that. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see the whole area change, really
Mhm.
kind of bring back the Sorcerer Hat, bring back a lot of just how this whole thing got to be where it is to begin with, which was animation.
And it is worth mentioning that the new Little Mermaid show is open. So there are construction walls up, but there is a way around them. If instead of like when you get to the Chinese theater, instead of going right because the construction walls are there, just go down towards the back and you'll be able to circle in there, just kind of the opposite corner of the Little Mermaid that you normally would. So that show
Yeah.
is still happening at this point.
Yes, and if you're coming from the Toy Story area, you do have to go up the ramp or you will be dead end. So you have to go up the ramp towards the theater or otherwise you'll be backtracking as I found out on my last trip too. So they had it completely blocked off
Did
there.
they really? So I think when I was there, you had to go down to get in there.
You may have to go down to get into the theater, but you had
Okay.
to if you're looking at this where Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway is located and you go to the right and you're trying to get to Toy Story Land in that area, you have to go the way of the ramp that used to be that was a difficult way to go because you had stairs there. If you had a stroller
Right.
or a scooter, that was a difficult way to go. So we would often go under the arch by the Little Mermaid show and cut over
Okay.
because you didn't have to
Okay.
fight traffic. But now they have a
You
ramp going
can't
up
go
and
to
they
the
have a
right,
ramp
the
going
arch. Okay.
yeah, you can
Right.
go through that unless you're going to the show. That's the only thing that they have that you can go to at that point. And I don't even know if you can go through the arch on that, to be
No, the
completely
arch
honest
was
with you.
so when I was there, which was a couple weeks after you, that whole arch area was totally walled off. And at first we thought
Okay.
you couldn't get into the Little Mermaid show, but then we realized if you went down the steps or the ramp where you're
Yeah.
talking, so One Man's Dream is in front of you, you could go
Mhm.
to the right there. They had that opened up
Okay.
to go to the right to get into the Little Mermaid theater. So, and I'm sure, I mean, it could change today, it can change this
Yeah.
afternoon. Like it's a constant work in progress. So just be aware that that show is open, even if you see some construction walls that could keep you out. Yeah, I spent a lot of time there because I'm not sure if you know, but Taylor Swift's clothes were there. So
Yeah, you definitely got more familiar with it than I did. But yes, there
I
was
found myself at One Man's Dream area an awful lot.
yes. There were 2 ramps there, which was nice. I wish
Yeah.
there was a wider ramp there to begin with anyways, so maybe they'll do something like that in the future also. But, that's all that I have for Hollywood Studios. Do you have anything else coming?
Nope, that's it for the studios. So coming next in our appropriate order would be Disney's Animal Kingdom. So not a ton happening over there. But we do know that Dinosaur officially closes on February 2nd. So that'll be continuing the work in that area of the park and that whole new land that they're building. So if you would like one more trip to ride back and try to find your dino, you have to do that by February 2nd. So do you have Bluey fans in the house, Rachel?
Very, very, very much so. We love Bluey. In fact, I really think we were one of the first families to catch on to the Bluey craze because Bluey started airing on Disney Junior right as my oldest was about 3, 4 years old, which is the perfect age to start
Okay.
watching Bluey. And I mean, I remember watching the show and being like, "Why is nobody talking about this? This is such a good show." But we love it, and I think my husband and I have seen every episode too. They throw in a lot of things that are humorous for adults, not in a bad way, because there are some jokes that some shows and movies will throw out there. And it's like I'm glad that went over my kid's head, but this is more realistic situations of being a parent and what parenting is like. So Bluey and Bingo are coming to Animal Kingdom in 2026 in the summer. There's gonna be some kind of it looks almost like a dance show, almost like, Disney did what they're doing with Mickey
Uh-huh.
Mouse Clubhouse Live, but, there'll be fun animal twist, it says, like Butterfly Keepy Uppy. So, I'm hoping that maybe some of their friends will come out too, but yes, I'm very much looking forward to this. In fact, this morning when Meredith got up, I changed her clothes, and she came back a few minutes later and looked at me and said, "Where are my Bluey pajamas?" That she was she was wearing Bluey pajamas last night, and she was upset when she realized I changed her out of the house this morning. Huge
So
Bluey fan.
I've never seen Bluey. I know nothing about
Ooh.
Bluey except for I heard somebody mention at some point that Bluey is a female. I assumed that
Yep. They're
Bluey was a
sisters.
boy dog. It was so
Yeah,
I don't know anything. Oh, they're sisters. So it's
they are.
Bluey and Bingo, you're saying, and
Yes,
they're
Blue and Bingo
siblings,
are
sisters.
sisters of the Healer
Okay.
family, and so, yeah,
Okay.
but yes, a lot of people do assume Bluey is a boy, but Bluey is a girl, and so, this goes through their preschool and kindergarten adventures with their friends and things with their families, and I love it. It's an extremely family-oriented show, so
Okay.
it is very positive for families, but, this will be at the conservation station, so I think this will be huge lines going to the conservation station when this opens
Yes.
up. This
Yeah.
is major news.
So you would need to take the Wildlife Express train to Rafiki's Planet Watch, which you can get on back in the area where you get on Kilimanjaro Safari. That's where the train is if you're not familiar with it. So you would take that train back to that area. I'm assuming that means some of the animal things that are currently back there may be disappearing. I know there's currently an animation
Mhm.
class in there of some sort. So I believe that'll be closing. But of course, we're making up for that. Like we just discussed over at Hollywood Studios, is where you could have a similar experience. So it should be interesting to see. I don't know if they're ready for the crowds heading over on the train, but I love it because I feel like it's something that a lot of people miss and don't realize is actually there. But it's fun. They have live animals back there that you can
Mhm.
see and some veterinarians
Yeah.
giving care to animals. You never know what you may see there. So I'm hoping that those things remain. And it's just really the animation experience, maybe that changes. And I'm okay with that since it's going
Yeah.
somewhere else. If we're losing it entirely, I'd be a
Yeah.
little sad about that. But okay.
Yeah, I'd be okay with the petting zoo going away too, but even if you've never taken the train out to the conservation station, it's a really neat train ride, and it's kind of you get behind the scenes looks too at what happens at Animal Kingdom Park because you do have to go
Mhm.
back behind some animal enclosures, so it's a very neat ride to take there and back. I will imagine that there will be lines heading forward. Maybe they'll need to add another train in there to get guests out towards there, but yes, we are very much looking forward to Bluey. Missy, you need to watch a few episodes. It is
Okay.
super cute. I can give you a list of recommendations. So, there's one in particular that makes my husband laugh every single time.
Okay. Well, that is good to know. I will be checking that out at some point. I don't know when. Actually, I have an idea, but I'll save that for a little bit later in this episode. I want to make sure we didn't miss anything else yet concerning the parks. That's all I had for the Disney World parks. Is that all you had, Rachel?
That's all I have for Disney World parks. There's things coming outside of it, such as water park admission will return on arrival day sometime in summer of 2026. I'm speculating it'll probably arrive around Memorial Day weekend, but we don't have any for sure set dates on those yet. So all we
It
know
would
is
be
summer
they have
20.
to give us those soon because people are to the point where they're really planning what they're going to do, and some may be choosing their flights based on whether or not they're going to have anything that they can do that first day. Hopefully, we'll get a date on that resort guest benefit pretty soon.
There will also be May 29th and 30th, Banana Ball is coming to the ESPN Wide World of Sports. Now, I have admittedly, I don't keep up with the teams or anything like that, but I know that's a huge craze right now going on in the sports world.
It certainly is. You know, my kids were interested in it last year and we talked about it and I looked into it and got on some email list and apparently it's extremely popular, extremely popular. Unbeknownst to me, when we boarded the Disney Destiny for our sailing in November, we were on the same ship as several of them and when my kids went back
Okay.
and looked at my photos and videos that I took on board, much to their dismay, we boarded right behind a few of them. We were like the next family, and they're in all my videos. Some of their players, they were, just like you and me, regular guests enjoying Disney Cruise Line. And we were on the ship once we realized that they were there and they were obviously on the same sailing along with us. And we
Yeah,
would see them around from time to time with their families. And they were always extremely friendly and you wouldn't know that they were
right.
bizarre ball
Yeah,
stars. Like I
yeah.
don't even really know what they do. It's been explained to me as like it's the Globetrotters but with baseball, which is super fun.
Yeah.
So
And I saw so I played, softball growing up, and I remember there's a minor league team in the closest city to where we live. And I remember in the summertime, they would have a travel softball team that was kind of like Globetrotters for softball.
Huh.
And so I remember going to see something like that when I was a kid. And but this is really very popular, much more. I mean, I saw the Globetrotters when I was a kid too, but this is extremely popular. In fact, on that sailing that you were on, I think some of the Dude Perfect guys were on there too. I know that they went on one of the first Disney Destiny sailings. So if I had known that, that's who I would have said, "Hey, Missy, go
Go
track
find
these
them.
people down. We are Dude Perfect fans."
I try to just leave people alone when they're on
Yeah,
vacation.
absolutely. Just take a picture from afar. That's all I want. Just a picture from afar.
I may or may not have a photo of Lance Bass filling a Coke cup. I'm at the
Oh,
refill station on the pool deck, so that may have
there you
happened.
go.
Just for my own personal stash, though, not something that I'll be posting. Something else outside of the parks worth mentioning is that it's almost time for the Disney Adventure to set sail. So if you're following along with Disney Cruise Line news, you'll already know that the Adventure was supposed to have her maiden voyage already in 2025, but things got a little bit delayed. So this spring, the Adventure will start sailing from Singapore. That is certainly exciting news. I think that's it for Disney Cruise Line news. I mean, certainly there are other things happening. If you
Yes.
do not already own your copy of the 2026 unofficial guide to Disney Cruise Line, written by our very good friend of the podcast, Tammy Whiting, we do encourage you to order that from Amazon or pick it up at your local bookstore when you're able, because that is full of cruise line information that is extremely helpful.
Yeah, I think some of the other big news that would be coming out of Disney Cruise Line next year is that the Magic is joining the Wonder in Alaska for the summer of
Oh, yes,
2026
that is
season.
big. Yep.
Yeah. Also, Marvel Day at Sea will be starting out of Galveston, Texas, actually this month in January of
Mhm.
2026.
Yep.
So, on the Disney Magic. And Bluey will be going to the Dream and to the Wish. Dream starting in February 2026. The Wish in summer of 2026. Blue was already on some of the sailings around Australia and New Zealand, and I really
Huh.
haven't seen or heard a whole lot about those, but I'm sure once Bluey reaches the Dream and the Wish, we will be seeing a lot of information about what Bluey is doing on the ship.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah, I think
So,
that's about it. I know Disneyland has some things that are coming. Bluey's coming to Disneyland in March as well. Seems like something that
mhm.
they're doing similar at Walt Disney World. Disneyland will also be continuing her 70th celebration that will run through August 9th. So if you want to get to Disneyland for that, you have until really August 8th to get that done. So, because it will
Okay.
end abruptly.
I mean, we just talked for about almost 45 minutes here about all
Yeah.
kinds of new things happening. So it makes me feel a little bit better when I have people who say to me, "You're going to Disney again? Aren't you sick of it?" The answer is always going to be no, I'm not sick of it, because there are always new things, different things to experience at the park. So we just went through a ton of them. And Rachel and I both have some upcoming travel already planned for this year. We tend to be the type of traveler who we will have a couple things locked in early, but then we add things in as they get closer, as Disney offers special deals and that sort of thing to take advantage. But my first trip of the year will be coming up in February when my daughter Annie's high school band performs on the waterfront stage at Disney Springs in Orlando. So we're very excited for that. We'll have a lot of family and friends traveling with us, along with their almost 100 kids in their band that get the opportunity. So I'm very excited for that, because these are kids from my hometown. Many of them have not ever experienced Disney World before. So I love being able to be there and be a part of that with them. To see Disney through the eyes of these kiddos, being there with all of their friends, is truly one of my favorite things to do. So I'm super excited for that. And I know, Rachel, you have a short trip coming up in February also, but I don't think your dates align with mine.
No, I'm getting there just as you are, just a day or 2 after you leave, so
Okay.
I'll be there. I'm actually traveling I'll be traveling solo, but I will be at Walt Disney World for some meetings, but I will be having part-time and experience time packed into that. I definitely plan on getting one more ride into Rock and Roller Coaster. When I went back in November, I really did think that was my last time, but now having this opportunity to go in February, I will for sure be going on it once more again. So
Absolutely. And Rachel and I will be traveling together in April. We've got a pretty big trip coming up on board the brand new Disney Destiny. Very big trip for Rachel, because she will be staying in a pretty fantastic room. Rachel, do you
yes.
want to tell us about that?
So I will be staying in the Tower Suite on the Disney Destiny. This is something that I would never ever have the opportunity to do on my own or, and the only way that I'm having this opportunity is by sharing it with people who are not my family. So I'm only having to
You're
worry
only
about
responsible for a fraction
myself.
of the cost instead of the entire thing, which is
Yes,
still not inexpensive by any means, but certainly for
correct.
the opportunity you're going to have, it's going to be amazing. And I think that it would be only appropriate for me at this point to invite myself to your suite since I will be on the same sailing and we can have a late night party watching Bluey in your room. You can choose the
I love that
episode.
idea.
It'll
Yeah.
be my introduction to Bluey. We'll get some room service and have some snacks with our gang of friends. I think we have over 30 of us at this point sailing on that cruise. So we'll have all different types of staterooms between the big gang
Yeah,
of us. But
and we'll
Rachel in
definitely be
her
talking
room,
about.
yes.
Yes, we'll be hanging out in mine. I even said, I was like, give me the bunk bed." Like, I will happily take the child-sized bed just to be able to stay in the suite. Next year is a big year for me. I'm turning 40 years old, so I decided I'm going to spoil myself a little bit, at
Good
the
for
opportunity that
you.
I can. Yeah, so and like I said, I would probably never have this opportunity again. Obviously, I would love to get my family in a suite like this sometime, but unless we hit the lottery, it's not happening.
Well, you never know. So we won't
That's
rule it
true,
out
you
as an
never know.
option, but we will be grateful for the opportunities we do have at this point. So
Yes.
I am really looking forward to that experience in April. I will have my daughter Annie along with me on this cruise. So that's exciting for me. You know, when your kids get to high school and you start counting down how many more years you have with them in the house and to be able to travel with you, suddenly I know for a lot of people, travel and those experiences become a lot more important. I've been dreading these days ever since they were tiny. I've been living every year as if it may be the last, which is kind of just how I do life in general because I don't take
Mhm.
any day for granted. But I'm excited to have my Annie along with me. She's super excited to experience your room. We have another friend traveling with us also, since him and Annie are great friends. They've been Disney traveling together since they were pretty young. And once he found out about your suite, he also decided to join in the fun because he said,
Well,
"Oh,
there
if
you
there's
go,
going to
the
be
more the
some kind of
merrier.
open house party in the suite, I want to be there too." So we're just adding on. It seems every week we have more people interested in coming into one of our groups to travel with us. So that's a lot of fun. I also have another really big trip planned in my mind for this summer, but not officially booked yet
Okay.
because I haven't been able to settle on dates. My daughters have never been to Disneyland. It's just not something that's ever worked out with our schedule and our budget. And it's something that we decided we wanted to prioritize for this year. So this summer, with Annie getting ready to enter her senior year of high school, I said, let's just go ahead and do it. It was something that we had started to plan for the summer of 2020 and it didn't happen. And the time just hasn't been right since then. But I am finally going to get my kids all the way out there to the other side, to the other coast, so that they can experience Disneyland and California Adventure and everything that they have to offer out there at the Disney park. So I haven't been able to finalize dates yet for that yet, but I plan on it in the coming weeks. I'm super excited for that. We usually end up doing a cruise in the summer, which is typically my favorite type of vacation. But this year it seems it's going to be Disneyland. So we'll see how that goes and where
Yeah.
we end up. Certainly we'll report back on that. I haven't determined dates or where we're staying or anything, but I know I'm going to make it happen this summer. So I'm excited for that. Do you have anything else planned at this point, Rachel?
I do. So I've got 2 more trips planned, for the year. So in May, we are going cruising with my parents, but we are not going on Disney Cruise Line. We are going on Royal Caribbean, and we'll be going
Course.
on the Allure of the Seas. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I have not
Allure's
been
a
on the
great
Allure.
ship.
Yes, I've been on her sister ship, and I loved it.
Okay. I have been on Allure. Actually, Allure was my first cruise when cruising restarted in
Okay.
2021. I sailed on Allure at that time. So, very special ship for me because
Yeah.
that was something that was a long time coming. So,
Yes, and she has undergone a massive overhaul since then too, so the Royal Caribbean put a lot of money they've been doing this periodically, putting a lot of money into their ships to get them updated, fresh, and everything like that, so we're going on an 8-night Southern Caribbean itinerary, so we'll be going to Curacao, Aruba, the Dominican Republic, and of course, Coco
yeah,
Cay.
Rachel, I want to come.
That's it. It is a nice
You're
sailing,
saying
and
because first of all, I don't know if we've officially established this here on the podcast or not, but and I know I've said before that I don't have a bucket list. What I do have is a Kokomo list. And Aruba is the only place mentioned in the song Kokomo where I haven't been yet. So I have been eyeing up Allure sailings because you may not be aware, Mamma Mia is the show that is typically performed, the Broadway style show on Allure of the Seas. It's a very special show to my family because my daughters were
Mhm.
both in our high school production of Mamma Mia last year, and I've been eyeing up sailings. Oh my goodness, Southern Caribbean 8 nights. Ugh, I'm
Yeah,
probably going
so
when I
and it's
can't go. Let's talk about. I'm totally inviting myself to come on your family's vacation.
well, my kids get out of school a lot earlier than a lot of kids do, so we are
Yeah.
taking advantage of that. So they'll be getting out of school on a Thursday, we'll be boarding the ship on a Saturday, so we've got a quick
Okay.
turnaround time there, that means I've gotta be packing, pretty quickly, but I am excited. I've not been to Aruba or Curacao. I've actually not been to the Dominican either. My husband has been to the Dominican for work, but not on a cruise. He's
Okay.
been doing a very different type of work than relaxing, but I've heard wonderful things. In fact, Aruba and Curacao are 2 of my dad's favorite ports that he has
Okay.
been to, and so I think this will be very fun for our family. We are gonna have an ultra spacious ocean view suite, so we are not having a balcony, which might seem a little bit long for 8 days, but we'll be all the way forward on the ship. The
Okay.
suite sleeps 6, so there is a bunk bed and a pull-out couch also that will be located in there, but the windows at the front will slant where the porthole is located, and it's quite a nice space, even though I've not been in one personally. I've seen a lot of pictures and a lot of walkthroughs of it, so it's kind of a nice space to have the kids sit there, play, hang out, relax
Yeah.
without taking up a whole lot of the other floor space going on. So we're gonna be having one of those. That way we can fit everybody in. The Allure has rooms and cabins that sleep 5, but a lot of those are not any larger than a normal standard
Mhm.
size veranda cabin for a family of 4. So we wanted to go with the ultra spacious. I'd much rather have the space than have the outside because I can go up top on deck anytime I
Yeah,
want
there's a
to.
lot of space on those ships to be outside and out on deck. So, well,
Yeah.
I am super excited for that. I love that. You guys will have a fantastic time with that. I
Yes.
think that's all I
So,
really
well,
have planned besides a holiday trip next December or November. But you said you have one more planned besides that?
well, I've got a little bit more to that one. So, coming back from the Allure, even though it's a long sailing, I'm in Fort Lauderdale and I'm driving, and it just makes
Um,
no sense not to go through Orlando because that's a long drive for me. I mean, you know what I mean.
yeah, I've
So,
had that same predicament before.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
familiar with.
and,
Mhm.
we decided to spend 3 days. It will be Memorial Day weekend. We're gonna spend 3 days at Walt Disney World, and something I'm really excited is that we will be there, the week that Soarin' Across America will open. So,
That is
we've
very
already yes, we are definitely going to reserve lightning lanes for that day. We want to get on and make sure that we're on and not waiting in a terribly long line because I do believe it will be very crowded and very popular on that week. So yeah, so we'll be spending the days there. But my last trip planned is for my 40th birthday. I do plan on a long weekend at Walt Disney World. I have a birthday coming up on a Saturday in 2026. And I just kind of want to I'm not taking a huge trip. I'm not taking an extravagant trip, but I just want to be somewhere that makes me happy on my 40th birthday. And so that will
yeah.
be at Walt Disney World with my husband and my children.
That is super sweet. I do love
Yeah.
that.
But yeah, that's
I
all
was
I
just trying to
have. I don't have
remember
anything
my
past that.
40th birthday. It's been so long. It's been 6 years. It's like, wow, I remember when I was that young. I had to take a second to think, what did I do? And guess what? I was at Disney World. So it's the place to be for 40th birthdays, apparently. So that's excellent. Alrighty. Well,
Yes.
wow. I think it's safe to say we are both very blessed for all of the things we have to be looking forward to in
Mhm.
2026. We're grateful to be here with all of you and our Disney friends and family that we love visiting the parks and cruising with and whatever adventures may be ahead. So, thank you, each and every one of you, for taking the time to listen today to any one of our podcasts you may choose to listen to. We appreciate you being here. We hope that you'll stick around with us for a while
Absolutely.
to come because, as far as I'm concerned, we're just getting started at this.
Yes.
If you have any comments or questions for us, as we say every week, you can tune into our socials at Disney Life Pod on TikTok and Instagram. We've got a Facebook group out there, and you can email us at podcast@storybookdestinations.com or at disneylife@storybookdestinations.com. So we are wishing you all a very happy and healthy and successful 2026. We invite you to come back here each week and see what we're chatting about. And of course, if you have a trip that you would like to come on the air and talk with us about, we'd be happy to have you as our guest. So thanks so much for listening today. Thank you, Rachel, for being here to chat with me. I appreciate you
My
always.
pleasure.
And I am looking forward to traveling with you in 2026, that's for sure.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you for listening.